ladies and gents, back with a vengeance
and
here.
drinking from a bag.
Margarita, here we go.
That is the biggest bootleg style we have ever we've crossed a new, like,
We keep it real up in here.
Shit's real.
Yeah, shit's real. Hashtag.
Definitely. So, let's
Clearly.
talk about it. Sybil, Diane, Miss Lady Andy, and Aza here to break it down for you.
And don't forget the bag margarita.
Yes, it's true.
But the bag ain't gonna last for long, so it's fine.
No, it's fine.
What time does the dep close? What time are we now?
Why are we getting more bags?
Just in the event that it has to happen, someone's gonna have to
Closes at 11, so I think we're good.
Yeah.
What are we talking about, though?
Industry.
The industry.
The industry.
I-
The machine.
I love
That we're all brainwashed by.
the video. Bitch, I'm Madonna.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I was just stunned. You guys were very eloquent on the issue, and I was just like, I love it. She has reawakened my love for Madonna.
Honestly.
Genius.
Yo, Madonna. Okay, we're talking about the industry, and I think like bringing up Madonna is just the way to go. But Madonna reinvents herself all the time.
Yeah.
She does, but how do you explain the woman is 57? In the video, she looks, what, 28?
Yeah.
But it's her vitality.
It is, though.
This woman's like, I don't know if she drinks blood.
No,
Diane
I don't
has
know.
a theory, though.
It's
Yeah,
not
tell
a
us your theory, D.
It is. God damn it! I mean, she works out 3 hours a day,
Yeah.
and she sleeps in saran wrap.
So
And she
Rana?
sleeps
Saran
with
wrap.
young people.
Oh, I thought that was a joke.
She sleeps with young people, isn't that
That
part of it?
too.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
She
girl, that's why I
indulges-
said she might not drink the blood, but she drinking something young.
Oh.
Well, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Protein
about-
shakes.
No, we talked about that. Like
Well,
how
it's the
Hugh
truth.
Hefner was stealing his youth and vitality from the young girls he's
Yeah.
sleeping with.
Yeah.
But she's doing the same thing. And she has
So,
a very
is
good
that
plastic
the
surgeon.
secret to keeping young in the industry is fucking young guys?
It's part of it,
I think it's part of it. I think
part of
you
it.
have to keep an open mind.
No wonder
Very
it's-
open. Willing to try everything.
Yeah, that's true.
For all the cradle robbers in the house, we now know your secret. Okay. And some of us are willing to sacrifice ourselves for the cause. But you can't apply.
Tested and true.
Tested and true. Ooh.
But it does make sense. It's like when you sleep with someone,
Okay.
Your essence.
your
essence is
energies
mixed.
melt.
Yeah.
So if you sleep with a cuckoo head, then you might go a little loco for a few days or something.
Well,
Girl,
like,
I would probably be in an asylum by now if that theory was true.
oh my gosh.
No, but it does affect you though, wouldn't
That
it?
is a confession.
But it's true though. Like there are crazy people out there, and yeah, you're yourself. But it's true that you are affected by the people you sleep
It's the
with.
margarita in the bag get in my head. Sorry, folks.
Well, I heard something really interesting, and it was about chakras, and that women have a very powerful second chakra. That's the creativity area around the navel,
Yeah.
and that when they feel that they are secure in the first chakra by being given by whatever their mate or themselves, maintaining a secure environment, that they have they have a very powerful second chakra that they can share with a man, and that men actually draw from women's second chakra, sexual energy to create. That gives them like boosts them to be strong in their third chakra. So I wonder what Madonna's second chakra is like, because she's not just hooking everybody else up, but she's just on a healthy loop of. She looks amazing.
She does.
She looks
Amazing.
vital.
Girl, that had nothing to do with no chakra. That has to do with a lot of lube and a lot of condoms.
A lot of.
And, yeah.
Okay, wait.
And a lot of Botox though.
This is the thing.
Let's be real.
But no, but like we were saying that her surgeons are doing a great job.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't mind. Like, go ahead. Bitch, she's Madonna, right?
Yeah.
So she has but she has a certain
Status
that she has to maintain. Thank you. And it can't be easy. But
No.
the job that they're doing, she still looks like herself. She looks flawless, but like herself.
Yeah.
And I have nothing against women or men that go and enhance themselves or like, as long as it's
I
in
agree.
your
As long as it's not cray because you see some crazy
as long as you
shit.
don't start looking like Ken, Barbie, or a cat.
Yeah,
Or
which happens a lot. But I
Yeah.
think this pressure, though, like you mentioned, pressure
Yeah.
to maintain. I think this is an issue in every industry.
Okay.
We said industry. What are we talking about? We're talking about music industry. We're talking about the movie industry, sports, fashion, they're all industries, right?
Yeah.
What's real, what's not, the pressure, how are we influenced by that? Because if they're pressured to maintain like that, are we demanding that? And then why is there all this pressure to maintain?
I think it's a feedback loop, back and forth.
That's it. I was gonna say it's the egg and
The
chicken
chicken.
and the egg, but
Yeah,
it's like who
but
came
it's-
first?
It's crazy because there's different people react definitely differently because they're different people. But
Yeah.
like, okay, so there's Madonna who looks great her age, and then there's people who end up looking like cats, like you're saying, and then there's people who look good but they just don't look like themselves at all, like Renee Zellweger.
Oh my god, that freaked me out.
That
She don't even look like the same person.
She does not. She looks fine.
Yeah.
She just doesn't look at all like the same human being. And I wonder what it's like to wake up.
But
and-
why do you think she did that though?
Because
I don't know.
because she was getting like the people were
Typecast?
telling no. She was getting criticized because she had like little squinty eyes, which was
It's
her
part of her
face,
charm, yeah.
that's part
and
of-
like her lips, and it was just like, this is your face, and you're still getting parts, and you're still awesome, but I don't know. I guess at some point you break,
Well, I heard
guess.
something very interesting because I see people who do plastic surgery. Sometimes on the street, I'll see them, and you can tell right away. And there's just, I'm sorry, there's an unnaturalness to the way their face is pulled together. I saw Jada Pinkett Smith, who I absolutely adore and admire. I've seen a lot of people who you can just tell. You look at them, and there's something off about their face.
Yeah.
And they don't look beautiful. Like, they're beautiful women, but they don't look beautiful. They look off to me. And there's so many of them doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me think, okay, so like, what happens to the mind when you're following everybody else and the pressure that you guys were talking about, when you're following the pressure and to the point that you're agreeing to start looking, the word I can use is strange, instead of the way you naturally look. I see so much of that.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's horrible too because it bleeds out onto the audience. Because it's like they have the pressure, but now society has the pressure to look like that.
Yeah.
Like beauty standards have changed because of that. So we're affected by the same pressure that they have to
Yeah.
a certain degree. Obviously, not to that degree,
Yeah, thank God.
but we are affected by it as well. And there's a pressure. I don't know. I can't speak for men, but I'm sure it affects men as well.
Yeah.
But there's a pressure amongst women, like because of that.
It is.
I
It's
feel
messed
like
up.
we're empowered by seeing them. For me, when I see that for the first time, I'm like, you know what? I appreciate that you're a celebrity, but I don't want to do that to my face. Like, for the first, I don't feel like they have the upper hand and I need to follow them. Like, for once, I'm like, you know what? Y'all want to jump off that bridge? Good for you.
Yeah.
But I'm just not going to do that.
Yeah.
Just because you are, because I mean, when I saw some of the stars that I admired the most doing the same thing and looking strange to me, I was like, finally, it sounds bad. I don't want to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm inferior to you, so I'm not really bothered too much by I just hope they get their faces back.
Yeah, but I think like even look, you see the results of that in other areas, like the selfies with we all use them, the filters,
Yeah.
to look flawless.
No filter girlfriend. I use a lot of light.
Yeah, bullshit.
I go in the bathroom.
Yeah. It's like,
Bullshit.
And I'm
no,
like,
Hashtag
blast
no
me.
filter.
some people,
Bullshit.
hashtag no filter.
I use Photoshop.
Yeah, right.
I could tell you the filter you're
No,
using.
Exactly,
no. The thing
no.
that kills me is the whole like going without makeup,
Yeah.
and it's like, girl, you have makeup on right now. It's fine. Like it's crazy to me to go online, take a picture of yourself, put it online, and be like, I don't have any makeup, but you just applied enough makeup to look like to have that like,
Yeah.
I just woke up look. That's
But
how I feel.
don't you do that in real life? Don't you wear just enough makeup sometimes to look like you just are good?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
but if
well,
you
that
ask me
is-
if I'm wearing makeup, I'm gonna be like, yes.
I
I'm
am.
not gonna go
Yeah,
out of
I'm
my
not
way
gonna
to tell
say
people
I'm not.
I don't have makeup. She's like, you do, and what's wrong? There's nothing wrong with it.
It's true.
Yeah.
I must admit, I bought into that. There was a weird moment on Facebook where I was like, "Look at me! I'm not wearing makeup. Picture without makeup," and I did it, and now I'm like, I don't know why I did that. Like, I really don't care. Like, it's not really a big deal. I guess I wanted to fit in that moment.
It was winter, and
It
so
was.
and now it's summer. When the summer really hits, you're like, fat arms, fat booty. I don't care.
Besides,
I'm leaving naked. You can kill yourself.
pretty much.
See what I think.
No, but we are affected. We're affected
We are
we're
affected.
affected by the industry for sure.
Of course,
Like,
media
what
is
you-
everywhere.
People buy into the fads though. Like everyone right now is getting butt implants. It's like, okay, good on you, girl. You better make the most of the next 2-3 years because something else gonna come along, and I mean your butt's not gonna be in anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And by the time you're, I don't know, 55, your butt's gonna be real low too.
Well, you have to ask the question. I know you want to say, but you have to ask before you do that. Ask the doctor. Real talk. When's the next time I have to come in here?
But
because
you know
that
what?
stuff
They don't
can-
have enough though. They don't have enough years. And I read all about this. The booty because there's two things.
Okay.
You could get implants in your booty,
Yeah.
and you could get injections.
Yeah.
They don't have enough years on it to really tell you the side effects. There's already been really bad side effects.
Yeah.
Like a friend of mine was telling me her friend got injections, and no, she got implants, and they leaked and it seeped up into her spine. So she had to get now the implants removed, right? And she's never gonna be the same because it seeped up in her spine.
Can she still walk?
Yeah, she could still walk, but there's people like, I mean, look, people died out of injections. Like, people are taking it too far and getting bootleg shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they get stuff off of the internet.
Yeah.
No, don't do
Crazy.
that.
Yeah, it's like, it's getting so crazy.
That's true.
And you don't even know, like, a lot of people have implants on their booty.
Yeah.
So a lot of these booties that you see that look absolutely not proportioned
Yeah.
to the rest of the body are just not even real. You know? And it's like, you would think, because people are like, oh, it's women that didn't have booty. No, it's women, even women that already have booty are getting it.
And
even,
getting bigger booty.
yeah,
Yeah.
like someone, I a few years ago,
Right.
I was dating this guy in Miami, and he's like, so babe, are your lips real? And I'm like, excuse me? I took that, like,
As
it
an
was
insult,
offensive
yeah.
to me. What do
It
you
is,
mean,
though.
are my
It's like-
lips real?
Yeah.
Yeah, my lips are real. And he's like, why are you getting so offended? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you just asked me if I inject my lips. I'm like, no, my lips are real. He's like, I'm sorry. He's like, a lot of Latina and black women here in Miami get their lips and their booty and their boobs done.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's majority Latina and black. So I was like, I was in complete shock. And to him, it was completely natural to ask me that.
Yeah, it was like regular, like
Yeah, like
like
completely.
is your hair real? Like
Yeah.
is your extensions or
Yeah.
whatever? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I wanted to say it made me think like we were talking about
I
how
think
it's
that's
fads,
awful.
right?
What?
So I
What
know
was
this girl, like we're talking about how it's fads,
Okay,
you know. And I know this girl. She got her eyebrows done.
The tattooing.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
like laser, whatever, tattooing, and now like they're super thin, and like it's nice, but it's like, you know, before having super thin eyebrows was the way to go, but
Yeah.
now it's more like thicker
thick,
eyebrows,
bushy
eyebrows, yeah.
and it's like. I remember when I was going to school with her, and she's like, I really like your eyebrows, and I'm like, well, why don't you just let yours grow? She's like, I can't. This is what it is, and I was like, it really made me think.
Yeah.
It really made me think because I'm like, you know, in the sense that if you want your eyebrows thin and you keep them thin, like it's fine. It's just it makes you think about how things change and how you 1 second you're like the bomb diggity, and the next second it's like you don't fit in. You know,
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
that's
I
when you
feel
try
like-
to
yeah.
follow the fads. That's the problem. Like,
I think that it comes from a complete fear of being irrelevant.
yes.
And it's a big fear. Even I'm afraid of being irrelevant myself, which is something
I
I'm
think
not very.
everyone's affected
Yeah.
by it.
But we need a phase. We need a period of time when we go underground and we don't capture all the attention, so that we can actually look out into the world. And we are sold an image in which we're constantly dynamic, we're constantly present, we're constantly surrounded by people, we're constantly there's no end to, there are no cycles.
Mhm.
We're just like a photograph or an Instagram image, and people are not like a frozen moment in time. You have ups, you have downs, and we don't allow. I feel bad for celebrities because everyone's attention is on them, and we don't allow them to have natural rhythms to life.
Yeah, but they also sign up for a lot of this.
Yeah.
And they even pay publicists to create this type of hype around them. So there's a lot of behind the scenes, and talking about the industry, it has a lot of facets. So it's a machine, and a lot of people don't see, you get the final product.
Yeah.
So it's just like, and I think, you know, we have 2 actresses in the room, and I think you guys could prove this, is that, you know, you go watch a movie, for instance.
Yeah.
The product, you're going, it's an hour and a half, 2 hours, it looks flawless. You have no idea what it takes behind the scenes to create this. Just to put a pencil there, like there's a whole thing just to put that pencil on the table in that scene.
Yeah.
Everything is scrutinized.
Yeah, everything's
insane.
scrutinized. It's a machine, you
Yeah.
know, and it's like...
And product placement is
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like people don't realize that, you know, even when they see the paparazzi, a lot of, I mean, I was in PR for years, so I could like tell you firsthand, like the biggest contracts are that. A lot of celebrities are even paying high dollar to get the cameras coming after them. They're told to go to certain restaurants.
Yeah.
This is where it's not a coincidence. Listen, the celebrities that don't want to be photographed are not.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it, you know, like it's no coincidence.
Do you think it's a loss for someone, like, if you don't allow people to completely invade your space, that you're going to be limited in how much you can
No,
grow?
because look at Madonna, for instance. We're talking about Madonna at the beginning of the podcast.
Right.
Okay, Madonna's one person, you'll never see her photographed anywhere.
Okay.
But she doesn't impact another way, because she's very ruthless. The way, even when she is going to talk to camera,
Yeah.
she's very raw.
Yeah.
She's very in your face. She'll tell you off.
Yeah.
She has other ways of impacting, just the way she, like Dee was saying,
Yeah.
she revamps herself. She's always, you know, she's a rebel.
Yeah.
So she doesn't need that type of publicity. So it's all about image. It's smokes and mirrors, and people don't realize, and this is where I think the tragedy is because, and we're all affected to certain degrees. Okay, the public, everybody's affected.
Yeah.
You know, we're all influenced by any industry, it be, you know, music or it be sports or whatever. But everyone's impacted, and what people don't realize that it's smokes and mirrors. A lot of what you see is not really what's happening.
Yeah.
Even the cars, they're given. The clothes
The
is
clothes.
borrowed.
When I
You
learned
know,
that, I was so shocked.
Yeah, it's
I was
a
like,
lot
what
of,
do they need clothes. They really.
yeah, so it's really not what people think.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, you know, my problem is when there's things that, you know, for instance, celebrities, when they're pregnant, they have baby, and they're back into shape like a month later,
Yeah.
and they're saying, oh, well, you know, I just naturally eat well. No, bitch, you had surgery.
Yeah.
Don't go and tell people that.
Yeah,
Because then
because-
it creates a lot of, you know, those are the things where I have an issue. Like,
But
that's an
isn't
example.
isn't that a built-in marketing model to get people to become obsessed with you? You have to make them feel inferior to you, and
Yeah.
just kind of dangle the golden carrot.
It's part of it. It's
that
part
is
of it,
barely
definitely.
reachable. So you're as beautiful as the girl next door, but you're not quite the girl next door. This impossible thing
Well,
to reach.
yeah, you have to
And you have all
aspire
this
to be.
specific
Yeah,
products
aspire to be.
and lifestyle to go with it.
It's like, look how awesome I am and how you'll never be.
Yeah, but then on the flip side, it's like, say Kim Kardashian right now, she's pregnant,
She looks.
and she's like, she's big, you know. But you see, there
But
you go.
she
She
has
looks awful.
Yeah,
she's
and-
pregnant.
No, but
she's gonna gain
But not
weight.
only is she pregnant, she has actually, I don't remember the name of the illness when she gets pregnant. First of all, her sugar peaks.
Yeah.
But she has, I forget what it's called. She has an illness that comes with being pregnant. Some women get it.
Uh-huh.
So she blows up bigger than other people.
Like water weight and all
But
that.
it's like
it's
people
rough,
need
like,
to stop. Like
No, you know what? Okay, you know what? I agree with you that like the body shaming and the public shaming, whatever.
It's messed
She's
up.
But
pregnant.
I'm
Like, leave her
sorry.
alone.
Okay, two things.
But then again, she's dressing in a way that she
It's
shouldn't.
like, why
She's
are you not
dressing.
wearing? Yeah.
She's dressing like it's very inappropriate.
Yeah.
It's like it's not even inappropriate. It's like you're pregnant.
Yeah.
You can't
It's
wear that.
sexy.
And it's not about not being sexy. It's like it doesn't work. You're
Yeah.
like just bulging from everywhere. What is that?
Yeah.
Why do you look like that? And the reason why I find myself being really like dry when it comes to Kim Kardashian and her being pregnant is because she's always talking about her body.
Yeah.
Her body, my body, my body, my body. Look at me, my body, my body, my body, my body, my body.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, like, the dialogue should be diverted to what? What else does she have to offer? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I don't know, but obviously she has something to offer, but it just never seems to be the thing that is talked about. Like, everyone knows you must have some kind of common damn sense to be making the kind of money she's making.
No, she's an awesome businesswoman.
And she seems to me like she's possibly an extremely intelligent woman.
Yeah.
But she's aware that she's like her husband. She's aware that they're selling the lowest common denominator to the public. And I mean, if you're that intelligent, why don't you play with some kind of satire around it to let people know, like, this is what we're doing?
Speaking of the industry and speaking of her husband,
what
do you guys think about Kanye West running for president?
That's when I say I actually have to pee.
My eyes are stuck up in the back of my head so far.
No, I don't know.
I'm seeing my brain.
No,
so is this real? Is this real, or is this a marketing plot?
Either way, I find that
Gimmick by the industry.
it's a big. I think it's a big representation of where we're at. Like, everyone's just mixing everything up. I was already tripping when, what's his name? Arnold Schwarzenegger was
he was
in California.
Well, look at Donald Trump. Ugh.
Yeah, that's it. Now I feel like politics is just becoming a big joke, and
it's becoming a
It's
popularity
becoming
contest.
an industry too.
Exactly, that's it. So it's like, in the meantime, people who are making the real decisions are going to be in the back, but let's entertain the people with Kanye West. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't, and I do believe that, and it's not even about, it's like, Kanye, I'm sure, that's it. Like,
exactly.
Kanye is a genius, I think. A musical genius. He does his thing, and even business-wise, do your thing, you're great. Every person should have a right to separate from what they're known as and explore different avenues.
Yeah.
Yet, let's be honest at the same time, like, you're not going to be the president of the United States. And the worst part is, there's a part of me inside that's like, he could very well be elected as president.
Look, it's gone to a point, okay, that there's so much competition in these industries.
Yeah.
It be in music or movies or even sports and fashion. The revolving door in that is not like it used to be.
Yeah.
Before, it was, in fashion, you had the top models. You don't even have top models anymore. That doesn't exist.
Yeah.
In the movies,
we have Instagram models.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I want to say something about that though. Tyra Banks was like saying how she thinks it's harder for models now because exactly the revolving door is so, it's like, she's like, you think that like, oh, your Instagram pic, or you got this gig one time, she's like, yo, there's a next girl and they're all there, and it's like, nobody.
It's not like it's not anymore the era of the Claudia Schiffers and the Naomi Campbells, and and these women were on the top for years. The Linda Evangelista. No, but they're not anymore.
That's true.
It's
had
revolving.
To reinvent themselves.
Yeah, but even still, it's fierce. The competition is fierce. It's revolving doors. Music is the same thing. You had staples that were there for a long time.
That's it.
Now it's like I put on music and I'm like, who the fuck is that?
Every
week.
Every day.
And they all sound the same.
They all sound the same.
Like
It's just and same. So that's fashion, but same with the movie industry. Like, I can't keep up.
I watched a movie the other day. I went to the cinema. I recognized one or two people in the movie, and I was like, okay, obviously you're somebody because they put you here. But where that's concerned, there's another side to it how I see it is that we're kind of breaking down the barrier of them versus us. Like because we're now seeing how ridiculous it is. Like, I can see for a mile away that they're marketing this little Bo Peep girl, Ariana Grande, into like a cookie cutter thing. Like, it's so obvious that I think, and then we have on the other end Instagram and YouTube making the individual a superstar.
True.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
by virtue of what they're putting out, or if they're playing the same rules. Like, we're all, like, in the same forum now. We're getting closer and closer. So I feel like it's just an evolution of
It's
things.
bridging
The
the
reason
gap.
I brought that up is because we were talking about Kanye West
Okay,
and him running for president.
Yeah.
And what a shocker. But what I'm trying to say, like, even the way Kanye West goes about things,
yeah.
you know, at this point, there's so much competition to stay relevant
Yeah.
and stay on top of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So having talent in this era doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Yeah.
So you have to, now in every artistry, marketing is, I'd say, 80%.
Yeah.
So
It's your supportive staff.
it is, right? So I think that we're in an era where people are desensitized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have to use shock. They're using a lot of shock value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Aza and I sat down a few weeks ago to watch the MTV Awards,
Yeah.
Okay.
and you know,
The MTV?
Yeah,
MTV
MTV
Awards.
Okay, did we see the VMAs too?
I
That
think
is
that
the
was
VMAs.
it. The MTV
Oh,
VMA.
that's how much I
VMA
just shut
was-
them out. I was like,
Yeah.
So
I don't care anymore.
it's. I mean, look, we're two generations here watching it, so I'm clear, and nobody's like, well, you know, generation gap.
Yeah.
No, Aza's watching this with me, and we're watching this, and we just. I
was
was like,
confused.
is everyone high?
Yeah. No.
Because
oh,
and I mean, it was just shock value after shock value after shock value.
It's
but
kind of like
there was
it makes
no
you
artistry.
wonder about what they think about our
But that's the thing. There was
level of
no
intelligence.
But now that's the thing. They have to shock you to look
So
because
do you
there's
think
so much
we're-
out there, right? So what's gonna stand out?
So do you think we are? This is my mindset when I see stuff like that. Are we getting
Dumber?
dumber?
Desensitized.
Are we getting more elevated? Because
Desensitized.
I look at the people around me that I speak to, and I speak to very intelligent people, much more than I ever did. People who are really connected, people who care, people who are aware, people who are conscious. And then when I look at the television, it seems to reflect we're just this much closer to zombiedom.
Yeah.
Like we just need so many drugs and like not just like, you know, happy hour drugs, but like, you know, medical anesthetic, like shut it all down and then rev it back up, cray stuff
Yeah.
to actually simply exist. Because I didn't watch the VMAs, but I was looking on
Yeah.
YouTube and I literally saw 3-second things.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's going on?
That's the thing. The problem is right now is that it's like before when I watched the VMAs, there was a theme in the show,
Yeah.
and then it would kind of go with that, and then there'd be shock value. There was always that, but
Yeah.
now there was no through line.
Yeah.
It was just the problem is when you use shock just to shock people without having that through line.
There's
It's just
nothing.
random.
There's no
I'm
direction.
I'm not even shocked anymore.
There's
I'm
no
just,
artistry,
I'm just
nothing.
confused.
Yeah.
There was so many moments in there where I was like, okay, well, okay, and then the moment dies, and then another one is born,
Yeah.
and you think you're there trying to connect the dots, and then halfway through we were like, okay, so nothing is connected.
Nothing's connected. Like some guy, he was announcing. I don't even know who it was.
Yeah.
He was announcing an act.
Yeah.
I remember when people were like, you know, this will blow your mind, like best, blah, whatever.
Give it up for the.
Give it up for no. Put your skirts up and your pants down, and he announces it. I'm like, okay, this is a new
Yeah.
announcement. I'm
Yeah.
like, what?
And then
See-
Miley Cyrus is like, the whole time they're doing skits and they're talking about marijuana this, marijuana that. Hey, I don't have anything against using marijuana, but it's getting a little extreme, and I'm thinking, I was watching this when I was really young, like, you know, and
Yeah.
kids now are watching that, and that's
And they're
their
probably
reality.
and they're
watching
talking,
younger-
and they're not. They're first of all, they're promoting not. I mean, marijuana, but they were not only that, they were promoting harder drugs, and they were promoting alcohol, which I found very strange. I mean,
On TV, like
like
For the MTV Awards.
yeah, and I mean, it's gone to a point where it's so bold, even like sex. Look, I'll be the first one. I push the envelope even on social media because I think people, you know, need to get a little bit more comfortable with their sexuality
Yeah.
in order for it not to become this big taboo and it becomes dysfunctional.
Yeah, but from a present place.
right? But I think that the way they're even promoting sexuality is really disturbing.
Like, why don't you take your own roofie?
Really though,
take your roofie and then let whoever come and like gang rape you and then tell them
yeah.
my ass and my anus. I just can't.
So I think it's just the industry's getting to a point. It's like, yeah, because people are desensitized, that now it's all about that. You know?
But I think I agree with what you're saying, Sid, but at the same time, I think that they think that we're dumber than we are.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? In the sense that it's like, they're like, oh, they're desensitized, and which we are, but at the same time, I don't think it's an irreversible thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you start putting stuff of quality again,
I agree.
If you bring back
agree.
what works, because yes, shock value works. You know, I mean, back in the days when Madonna was singing, what's the song? If I'm not sorry,
I love that song.
Human Nature.
Yeah,
that was, you know.
It was relevant.
It was relevant, and it pushed the envelope, and it was bold and it was shocking. But at the same time, there was a line. There was a reason why she was singing that. What she was saying that, and like you all said, like there is no more line. And at the end of the day, people are not dumb. They might not be able to tell you why they don't like something, but they will feel the emptiness behind whatever.
And maybe that's why it's happening.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it's happening. That's why I don't fight it so much. Like, I'm like, go ahead and show us how soulless this has become so that we can
flip
say,
it around.
You can't fool us anymore. We're not interested. I don't want to see someone pooping, on top of a Jeep because Jeep gave them money.
Yeah.
And talking about mushroom bubblegum. Like, I don't want to see, doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't.
And but in a peaceful state, and we now have our own platforms. Like what we're doing. I'm not saying like we're like, we better than y'all or anything like that. No, but we're like, I came to this conclusion to do this because I listened to other people really put stuff out, and when I listened to them, it really resonated with me. It was like better than anything I'd seen on television, and it made me even be able to go back to TV and be like, okay, I can accept you finally,
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a leveling of the playing field.
It's true. And I mean, Sibs was talking about balancing out our sexuality and finding, making it less taboo, and that's something as an artist that I've been thinking about, because I love pop music. I want to sing. I want to be an internationally known artist. Like I'm trying to ground myself in my dream, not just like be like I need to be like Beyonce, but actually like realize, okay, so what is that going to mean for me in the day to day, and what kind of how far am I willing to compromise my integrity for whatever the industry is asking of me, and that's one thing that I always notice is the whole good girl gone bad thing.
Oh God.
Where it's like really young girls start out really sweet or whatever, but that's how they just make it out to be like that, and then all of a sudden they turn around and their ass is in my face. You know what I mean? And I'm like,
and hasn't even gotten any padding yet.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
Ariana Grande. Sorry.
But that's the thing. Like that's something that I think about often, because it's like there's that fear of being sucked in by the industry, and I'm looking at artists that I really respect that have fallen into the trap too. You know what I mean? And I'm like, how it must be. It's like when you're in it. It can't, like, people are smart. It can't just be about they're there and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, you know what? Never mind. I'm just going to take my pants off and do this. It's like, it must be, like, they must be manipulated in a way, like, slowly, gradually,
brought there.
poked and
No,
prodded
it's
and, like,
in your face. Like, and the thing with me is, like I said, I have nothing against that. Like, anybody knows I'll push the envelope as far as, like, talking about it or whatever. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I don't shove it down people's throats. You know what I mean? And that is like, it's done. And it's also the way you do it.
Yeah.
It's vulgar, it's crass, there's a way.
And there's no bridge. Some of
There's
them, it's
no
like,
bridge.
one day she's like super sweet and like innocent, and then the next day you're like, next video, that's it.
Vagina.
Like vixen, dominatrix, pussy in my face, and I'm like, how? Where? I don't. What happened?
Well, I feel
and
like
that
yeah.
it makes me wonder. It's like, who made that decision? Like, who?
Well, that's
who
the thing.
decided
This is
to
what I was
talk
trying
about
to.
their
Well, that's what I
narrative?
was trying to tell you guys. The publicists, marketing plays a big role, and in like one of our previous podcast episodes that we talk in season 1, sex sells.
Yeah.
It does.
It really does,
And
though.
especially
Some of the stuff
now
I
more
found-
than ever, and it's the more insecure people get and the more lost they are with that, and the more insecure they are with their sexuality, sex will sell. And
they always use sex as the
but
opening.
it's because, and that's
or
what I mean.
violence.
Yeah.
But that's why, that's what I'm telling you, this is what it's going to cause.
Yeah.
Because the more people are not comfortable with their sexuality, it becomes a taboo. That's why when we talked in previous episodes, I was explaining, like, in Europe, for instance, when I lived in Europe, I realized it's not exposed in an unhealthy manner.
Yeah.
People are very comfortable with their sexuality. Therefore, there's not this thing that's created where people become obsessed
Yeah.
with it, so it becomes unhealthy, it becomes unbalanced.
Yeah.
Therefore, violence is attached to it,
Yeah.
aggression. People are going to get it no matter what.
Yeah.
It becomes very unhealthy, and now more than ever, I'm seeing this unhealthiness. It's beautiful to see a woman that's comfortable in her sexuality. But you could tell when there's a difference when a woman is comfortable in her sexuality and when she's not, and she's just doing it to sell records,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
she's doing it to sell, her brand or her name. I'm even seeing it in sports now.
Yeah.
And even women that are not are being sexualized
By the
Yeah.
media.
like Serena Williams.
I know.
Yeah.
I cannot stand it. The
Yeah.
women, give her props. She's one of the best athletes in history.
Yeah.
She's been on top of the
She's
game
a
for
power.
13
No.
years.
She's a powerhouse, people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's a powerhouse. Stop it.
Well,
Yeah.
can I offer something where that's concerned? Like, I found myself having a conversation with someone, and I get, marginalized differently by different people I've met along the way. And I was saying, you know what? I'm finally glad that someone isn't looking at me like they're mammy, or their librarian, or their therapist, or their sister. I mean, y'all see me. I'm a woman.
Yes.
It's like
Whole lot of women.
a whole lot
Yes.
of women. But I was like, I'm glad that finally people are getting more comfortable seeing me as a sensual being.
Yeah.
Not that I don't want to like jump everyone's bones.
And it's part of it.
It's part of it, and I feel like sometimes this overexpression that we see in the media by a very select few women, like just going, "Rawr, I have a vagina, it's coming for you."
But it's
It's like-
terrible because it affects us women and how we're regarded.
It's like
too.
it's a reflection of us, like wanting to finally have the voice that says, "My sexuality is valid. It's here. It's real. It's powerful. It wants to be expressed. It wants to find communion. It wants to be accepted, and it's just out of control."
Do you know what I'm noticing?
Also,
Sorry.
it's mine. No, don't be sorry. It's. I just want to add to what Miss Lady and he was saying. All of that about your sexuality, but also, it's mine.
It's mine. It's mine to control.
It's mine to control. It's mine to express. It's mine to share.
But
Yeah.
it's out of
Or
balance.
not.
I don't know if you guys are going through this, but I'm noticing because of what's going on in these industries,
Yeah.
even the way I'm getting approached as a woman or seen by certain men,
Yeah.
I find is very much influenced by these industries.
Yeah.
So I'm being categorized
Yeah.
and being approached in a certain way because I'm being put it, and it's almost like they create this like
Fantasy.
character,
Yeah.
image,
Caricature,
character,
not a character.
yeah,
Caricature.
and,
Caricature.
yes, and
Yeah.
they put me in this, like
In this box.
yeah, where
And
it's
they
like,
take the
yeah, it's like this fantasy type of, it's got to be like this. This is what I see in the videos and I see
Yeah.
in the movies, and I see, and it's like, no, I'm a human being, and
Yeah.
this is not. This is like, and I realize it. I'm like, I'm not even being approached
Mhm.
in it like the way I'm being approached is
You
not
like a
even
movie
normal.
script. They're like playing themselves in the life
Yes.
of.
That's it.
You
And
know?
it's
And
like,
I get approached
yeah.
like that a lot. Like
Yeah.
I've talked to you about this, Aza.
Yeah.
Like you guys know this. Like
Yeah.
it's not even realistic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's out there.
It
It's
is.
it's like
And I think it's a consequence.
it is.
Yeah.
And
But
even
we're all
like,
living our lives through the lens now.
That's it. The
Like
porn
we were,
industry.
like we were before.
That's
living our
another
lives
industry.
through our imagination.
No,
projected to
Asa
other
said it.
characters.
We didn't name that
That's
industry.
it. Like
We didn't
the
name that. The porn
like,
industry is another
There's so
one.
many people
Yeah.
out there that are there are guys out there that think they are in a porn movie, and so they
That's always been.
Bang, 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 bang,
No, but
bang,
that's
bang,
never.
bang,
That's
bang,
always
bang,
been.
bang,
Like
bang,
that's
bang,
not
bang,
new.
bang,
But
bang,
it's not new.
worse.
But it's
Yeah.
getting worse. It's
Bang,
like
bang.
it's like with all those.
But now you're expected to look like and be like a
yo,
porn star.
yo. Ain't nobody gonna vajazzle
yeah.
all of this, okay? Because then you gotta rip it out and then apply rhinestones to show you the way to the
No, but
promised
that's-
land.
but-
Wake up!
We're talking about surgery.
Yeah.
A lot of women are getting their butts bleached now because porn stars do that, and
A lot of people.
okay,
Are, yeah, but
they're
also
getting
surgery on
didn't-
they're getting surgery
Yeah.
on their
labia.
labia
Yeah.
because it's like, oh, it needs to look a certain way.
Yeah. Excuse
Okay.
me?
Yeah. It's just rough because I just
yeah,
I
but
feel
also,
fortunate
but the
because-
bleachings also happen because a lot more people are having anal sex. Let's just
Yeah.
put it
Okay,
out there.
that is another
Well, I'm
factor.
just saying.
Yeah, I'm just fortunate because I have it. Like I am surrounded by people who do love themselves and own up to themselves and help me feel comfortable with myself. And I never, at the same time, I'm happy. I did have a moment where I was like, I was so resistant to plastic surgery, the idea of it, that I was like, okay, I need to balance that out because I'm like you're saying, if you stop me, if you tell me I can't do something, then I'm gonna really want to do it, you know.
Yeah.
So I had to get to a point where I'm like, could I do it? Would I be open to it? You know,
I
yeah.
would be, but in a balanced way.
But
I'm not
that's it.
against plastic surgery.
No, I'm not. But there was a moment. There was a moment. I said, "Don't look like a cat."
Don't
There was-
worry, Mama. I'm not ever gonna look like a cat.
Just don't look like a cat.
Yeah. There was a moment where I really was against it,
Yeah.
big time. Just like I was against a woman going bad, entre guillemets. You know,
Yeah.
like those artists, I would judge them. I was like, I can't believe that girl now. She's dressing such a way, and I'm like, wow. I guess that's me judging myself too. Like,
Yeah.
I need to find balance there because as an artist, I am gonna grow and change.
But
And
like I
maybe if
said, there's a
push-
thin line though.
yeah, there is, but it is important to
Navigate that
like
line.
to,
Yeah.
to know where you stand, you know. And it's true that when it comes to plastic surgery,
Yeah.
I went through a moment where I was like, would I get breast implants? Would I want? Like,
But
would
you
I be
see,
okay with
but
that?
it goes back to what I said, the thin line. It's like a woman. You see an artist that's really comfortable in her sexuality. You could tell.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the artists that they have to do it to stay relevant or the shock value, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could tell the difference. And I think it's the same with women that get plastic surgery.
Yeah.
There's many reasons. You know, I don't think it's normal at 18 you're getting your boobs done. Okay? I don't think it's normal that you're getting Botox at 28 years old. You know, I don't think that's normal. And nothing an exaggeration. That's why I mean, like, it depends where you're coming from. If you're confident or whatever, but there's, you know, something you want to fix or you want to,
Or like
you know,
breast reduction.
yeah,
Like,
I
women who
totally,
need breast reduction.
I'm totally for it. You
Yeah.
know, if you get to a certain age and you have, I don't know, an expression mark and you want to put a little something there, and people won't even notice. You know what I mean? It has to come, and even the right plastic surgeon, he's gonna look for those signs of, you know, psychologically. Are you doing it for the right
You have
reasons?
like body dysmorphia.
Yeah, no, but
Yeah.
they'll look at, some surgeons will refuse, like they won't do certain type of surgery, you know. It depends where you're coming from, and I think it's the same thing in the industry. There are women that are they're very their sexuality is very pronounced,
Yeah.
and they own it, and you could tell it's who they are.
Yeah.
And that is beautiful.
Well,
If you are comfortable in your sexuality and you're exuding it, and
It's
all
empowering.
it's empowering, and all the
It's
power
empowering.
to you. But doing it because
somebody. It's like two girls kissing at a club because a bunch of guys.
Exactly.
But you know, I have a
but
question.
that is a good.
It's a great example.
It's a great example. You know, if you like kissing girls, hey, great for you. But if you're doing it just to get the attention of dudes and you're not even into girls, like,
well, I feel like you're always whenever you mess with your sexuality, I genuinely feel like it really takes a toll. Like you cannot imagine in this moment what amount of work you're going to have to work through if you ever want to come back to your authentic self.
Yeah.
Totally
So
agree.
that much, I said the same thing to my little sister when she was getting to that age, and we were talking little by little about kissing and boys and sex. I said, listen, you know, sex is not a bad thing from my perspective.
No.
And I don't know whether God
Miss
really
Lady
cares.
Andy, I just want to clarify.
Yeah.
Sex is not a bad thing. Period.
It's not a bad thing, period.
In
fact, it's a very beautiful, I think it's one of the most beautiful things that two people can do.
Mm-hmm.
But I also said to her, you know, there's a lot of steps along the way, a lot of unlocking of yourself that you have to do when you meet another person, you let them touch you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you rush because everybody's just like, oh, we gotta go, and your body's just like, zzz, like, you know, like if you rush, you're gonna jump through a whole bunch of phases that you will not get to savor.
Yeah.
It's
You know,
true.
To me, you can't even really enjoy sex if you're not comfortable with yourself.
Or what about the message that gets sent to a young girl
That's it.
when someone says, I'm going to put my penis up your anus because I don't want you to get pregnant, because that would be a really horrible thing to have happen. Like, you don't realize the story you've just downloaded into your body, because that is like your anal area is like such a you know, like
That's a whole other conversation.
And now you've deemed your vagina, your vulva as inappropriate to receive, but you're gonna let somebody just get off in this area of your body that requires like 10,000 keys, depending on the person.
Well, this is where I think the industries don't have responsibility anymore.
Yeah.
The role models, you know, like I listen to grown men, you know, being like, that was my role model, you know, and I look at classic men, you know, that really had swag too.
I'm a classic
Man.
Well, no, not him. No. Actually, I'm not talking about that.
I just
I'm
want a
talking
song,
about,
girl.
We hear you, girl, but it was the closest thing we got. So we got thirsty.
It's just a
And
song.
it's sad because it's like people don't even have something to look up to anymore. And
There's Chris Brown, right?
well,
Okay, so Idris Elba, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he is the fine man, and he is strong and grounded and successful, and you could tell he's got that power. I got that power. He's got that power, you know. Yet that man, and he's an amazing actor, and he's broken some barriers like in the last years, you know. But at the same time, he's being told that he's too street or too hood.
How is he too
play, to
yeah,
play
but
James
okay,
Bond. That's
this
another
is-
thing.
this
How
is-
can he be too
okay,
good
you
to
know
play
what?
James
We're gonna
Bond?
get into our episode of last week, which you know was about discrimination.
Okay.
That's a whole other can of worms.
It's just
Okay.
also it's just
about
a part
the
of the
industry.
industry. Like I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
like people, like you are being stuck in certain. You're
Oh,
being
you're
pushed in.
typecast.
Yeah, you're typecast, and it doesn't matter. You could be the epitome of like
Everything.
manhood, and
Yeah.
you're being told that you're not enough or something. There was this thing going on online, called the "Don't Judge Me" challenge.
Okay.
And it's,
I like that.
Yeah, it's like people who, it sounds great, right?
Yeah.
But basically, it's people who, first of all, they look messed up, and then 2 seconds later, they kind of pass the hand on the camera lens, and then they come back and they look great.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it's like, look, I was ugly, now I'm hot. But then you have like 7-year-old girls doing that, you know. But then when they switch, you saw it, Diane.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It's like
it's scary.
It's like little girls being like sexualized, but so extremely that you're like they don't even understand
what they're doing.
what's going on,
No.
and that scares me. That
Like-
makes me really uncomfortable.
I was looking at that,
Yeah.
you know, it was showing me that, and I was like, who allowed? Like, there's 7.
Yeah.
You know, 7, 8 left.
Who filmed
9
that?
max. Yeah, that's it. And not only who filmed that, who made them up like this? They look like Barbie dolls, tank top and like
Bikini tops,
lipstick,
yeah.
lipstick and all like like puckering their lips and like pulling on their hair.
Oh, I saw
Yeah,
that.
I
saw
to
the
you.
2 little girls,
Yes.
right? That really, honestly,
Oh my God,
and
it
the
broke my
girls,
heart.
the girls
Broke my heart.
were so on point.
Yeah.
But what actually got me was what they thought a sexy woman was supposed to be.
I know.
It was nothing like.
It killed
You know
me.
what?
Like,
No,
Sex-
you know
when
what?
you-
It's
yeah.
not even about sexy because you're 9 years old, okay?
Yeah.
So it's like sexy, really, please.
Yeah.
It's like it's the don't judge me challenge. So it should be something like you're a little girl and I don't know something weird
You're
that you
playing
do,
in mud.
you know,
and
then
you found a worm.
and then
Yeah.
the next and then on
And
the
you
next
threw
thing,
it at somebody.
that's it. And then the next frame,
Sorry,
you're
man.
like, I don't know,
You're in
you
a
clean
princess.
now.
Yeah,
you
you're
know.
a princess dress, or I don't know. It doesn't have to be a princess dress, but you're still a kid though.
You're 9 years old.
People are being pushed to grow up real fast,
Way too
Yeah.
but
fast.
without the backbone to follow. Like,
To understand what's
exactly.
happening.
So they're just kind of living out this thing, and I feel like every generation has gotten caught up in saying, "Oh, the next generations are fucked up, and we're never gonna make it." But I can
I feel
honestly,
crazy.
like honestly, I feel that way. I look at young people right now, and I'm like, holy crap, you guys are growing up in this world.
Well, I don't. You know what? I'm very good at speaking
Which
to
is a
people
good thing at
from
the same
all
time,
sorts
but-
of generations.
Yeah.
yeah.
And sometimes when I'm speaking with someone who's under the age of 16, I feel like I just have to stay quiet and like let them please just express themselves. If they can just express themselves safely enough. And I'm confused. I'm very, very confused about what's going on. But you know, what can you do? I don't feel like I want to fight or call them inappropriate, but I'm
No,
just
it's not that.
I
It's
wonder
their
how big the
world.
bridge is going to be when the
Well, I
time
think
comes.
the bridge is also, it feels bigger because, you know, the notion of generation 10, 15 years ago was 25 years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know? Like a generation was 25 years.
Yeah.
The difference between a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I'd say it's 5.
It is
If
fine.
Yeah.
it's not 2.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then but you have Google that helps you.
Yeah.
Because the other day someone was like, "Are you on fleek?" I was like,
Oh.
"Yes, I'm on fleek." I literally entered on fleek in
You
Google.
Googled it.
and that's when I realized
You know how
that
many
Google had
times-
changed their logo. I was like, "There's a lot of information going on right now."
Do you know how many times I used the Urban Dictionary? Like in a day? Like at least 3-4 times. I'm just like,
serious?
what is happening?
Yeah.
Or I read someone's status and there's like abbreviations. I'm like, what is
What
that?
does that mean?
Oh yeah. Oh no. My older uncle sent me like my happy birthday message, and he wrote something LLMP. I don't even know what he wrote, and I was like, I had to Google it. Hashtag LL. I was like, what does that mean?
Well,
what does that mean?
What is he saying? Oh, live a long life, something, and be blessed. I was
I'm
like,
sorry, that's
why
just-
did I
Wow,
say
that he made that up.
That's just out there, man. Nobody's using that.
No, because it was fine. Google recognized it.
Oh my God.
Oh my
Google
God, that means-
recognized it, so I found out what my birthday message was. So I was like, die a lonely spinster. I was like, what are you trying to say? Hashtag, don't you hashtag me. I know what you're trying
No,
to say.
seriously. So yeah, the generations seem so much shorter, like the
Yeah.
time period.
Yeah.
And the technology is growing up so fast. I feel like we're babies with like AK-47s in our hands.
I think
You know
the
what I
thing
mean?
is that
Yeah, I
I
do.
think what's happening is
Society.
that everybody is like a baby, and that's the one thing that I like is the equalizer effect. Because everybody from the 2-year-old who now knows how to search a hashtag, which I'm probably exaggerating, to my
No,
which you're
to
not
my
at all.
not.
to my grandfather who's like, okay, I'm gonna go on and check what this person is saying. Everybody's finally being able to say, what the fuck? Everyone's saying it, like, and we can all speak to each other at the same time and not feel like, oh well, automatically because this person is 60 years old, they're much more intelligent than I am. It kind of breaks down the barriers.
Well, I like it and I don't.
Yeah, because there's a weird lack of respect for for wisdom and the elderly. Like now, I don't know what's going on, but I feel like
Yeah, being old is just forget it.
people
you know?
are not. There's not as much respect out there, like on TV, anywhere. It's just not. It's just not.
Yeah, and like
happening.
if you take ageism and industries, in all the industries,
Yeah.
All of them. Sports even, it's because your body, like after a certain age, like you've been destroying your
You're
body.
finished. In every industry, you're finished after a certain age.
That's it. What is it? What is the threshold? 35?
And you know, it's sad
35!
because sports, let's
You still have
touch
60
on...
years to live.
I have something to say about sports and people's
Irrelevant.
hypocrisy
Yeah.
with sports. You know, there's so much pressure on these athletes, and you know, people don't care. They're, for instance, if they're a diehard football fan, they don't give a shit. They will talk about every other athlete in every other sport that's on steroids,
Yeah.
but they don't want to hear about their athletes in the sports that they follow if they're on steroids, because as long as they're winning,
But they don't care.
they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And what people don't realize is that all sports, the athletes are on steroids, even golf.
Yeah.
How do people think that these athletes are being able to break these records? And then comes another athlete and breaks another record. And people want to talk about, you know, they'll do it when it's a racial thing, or they'll do it when it's not the sport they follow, but as long as you don't touch their sport, then they don't give a fuck. You know, even down to sports where it's like a gimmick and it's quote unquote fake, like let's say wrestling.
Yeah.
Okay? Yes, everybody knows the cat's out of the bag now. It's like a lot of things are not real, but what the real thing is, these athletes, these wrestlers are taking hits. And what people don't realize is they work every single day of the year except for maybe 2 days off a year. In the wrestling world.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes.
They work every day. Like, what do they
Every
do
day.
to work? Like, they wrestle every day?
They wrestle every day. They're going on tour, worldwide tours. They work every single day.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
God, your body is-
exactly.
Yeah.
So how do people think
my
they
God.
have to take steroids? They don't have a choice.
Yeah.
People don't understand what enhancing, it's not only for like to look a certain way. People get shocked when, listen, people in golf are taking steroids. You know, it's like people don't realize. So, but this is the pressure that the public
Yeah.
is actually putting on their athletes. Okay? People don't look at this angle. And then the industry itself, the people that own the teams and whatever, of course, they don't give a shit because the money's coming in. So they don't care what shape what the repercussions are for these athletes.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of them have after aneurysms, they have concussions. You know, it's terrible. All of a sudden, these very young guys, because they get signed, for instance, in ball, they get signed extremely young. There's two aspects to that. They're not prepared. No one helps these. A lot of them come from a background where they didn't have money. All of a sudden, they have all this fame, all this money. They don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they have an injury and their careers are done. Finished. You're like a byproduct. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And they're not prepared. You know, and that is another side that, you know, people don't really talk about, but it's really sad. And people don't give a shit.
You don't
That's
have a
the
net.
thing.
They don't care.
That's what's scary. It's like, that's why I think the industry...
It's
like,
messed up. It's
it
a
is
doggy
machine.
dog. There's a
Exactly.
reason they say it's doggy dog.
Yeah, it is a doggy dog world, and it's
They say that about the industry.
Yeah,
it is doggy
that's what
dog.
I'm saying. It's a doggy
Yeah.
dog world. The industry,
And you're replaced that quickly.
yeah, and you are, and that's why people are fighting so hard to stay relevant.
Yeah.
And that's why
The
also
pressure is so
it's
hard.
important to, if you're able to, as much as possible, have like that kind of support system that keeps you grounded
Important.
and that keeps you in touch with who you actually are. That's why I said people need to be in touch with what they're doing and why, because or else you get lost.
But
you get
unfortunately, a lot of, like, for instance, in the music, now it's better because artists are more aware. They're more aware. They have more business sense. They have all this. But for years, like, artists were taken advantage of.
Oh my God.
You know,
The labels?
Never mind only the labels, the managers.
Yeah.
The people around them.
Yeah, but
Their
a lot.
families?
Their families.
Everything. So they were getting bamboozled. Luckily, there's more awareness now for the artists, and they're more like well-rounded. They understand the business and whatever.
Tools.
There's more tools, but at the same time, that's it. Now there's more tools, and they're more aware, and they could protect themselves. But then on the other side, there's more pressure than there used to be.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like it didn't really balance out in a way.
Yeah.
So, and it's hard to even get into the industry now.
Yeah.
You know, it's something, you know, that I'm in, you know, I manage. And it's like, I know the industry, and it's very tricky and it's dirty.
You have
It's
to have
very
a solid
It is
team.
no, it's dirty.
Yeah.
It's dirty, and you have to have a very solid team.
Yeah.
That, you know, that has your back, because you have to go in as an army.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what you're doing, and you don't, and the people around you don't trust them,
Yeah.
You're gonna have.
Yeah, you're
One
gonna
thing
have
I
a-
hope that
it's-
happens on the
and
other
it's hard to
side-
get in. Period, because
Yeah.
it's just so much. There's so much competition. You know, even now with the internet.
Yeah.
And YouTube and all this and all that, it's like there's a dime a dozen, man. I can't even keep up.
Well, one thing I hope to see happen, I hear what you're saying. Like, I've always felt really bad for some of the celebrities, because you saw what happened to Michael Jackson. What's his Michael Jackson's birthday or whatever?
Yeah, he's not the one
You
I feel
know?
the most sorry for.
Well, I don't feel the most for him, but I don't really know who
He
I
made
feel the
some
most
millions
for.
at least. Some
But
people, some
I
artists
feel-
never even saw their money.
I feel for some people, the people who are going through this, and I hope that us ourselves, as the actual public, that we're being sold into this. I hope that the people outside, the people who are actually taking in all this like media, can start to actually have a little bit of compassion. Like, what would it feel like if all your shadows were being projected onto the world stage for everyone to see? Your weaknesses, your moments of doubt, your moments where
Actually, I don't agree, because back in the day, this artist would show all what you're talking about, and that's what makes a good artist. I always say this to Aza. A good artist will leave his heart and soul on that stage. He will show his insecurities.
Yeah.
He will show his soul. He will show, and will leave that on a stage. That makes a good artist. Nowadays, you don't know who you're looking at.
But that's the thing,
look
but
at all
that's
the
on
people.
stage,
But look at
though.
all
No,
the
no,
people
even
living
you're
that.
right, even worse. On the record, it's studio. It's the machine that's making most of the work.
But those people who are showing it, okay, in their work
Yeah.
creatively, but if we
People
see all the
living
people
it.
that we admire, that we're like, oh, they're forever gonna be, there are always people who died of like serious drug abuse.
Yeah, but they were
died-
they were amazing artists.
They
They,
were-
they showed their insecurities.
But
Look
it's
at
like-
Jimi Hendrix, for instance.
But it's
Very
like,
good one.
if for you to be a creative person who can show that light inside of you that wants to express itself, that wants to share, you have to die a tragic death. You have to be
no,
you have to
You don't
be
have
stuck
to.
on alcohol and
No,
drugs.
no.
You have to be
I don't
taken
agree.
advantage
No,
of.
I understand what
That's
she's
the-
trying to
Yeah, I
say.
get it,
There's a
though.
glorification
Of the misery.
Of the misery. Do you know what I
I
mean?
agree. Yeah.
There's a glorification of like, look
You have to
at
sell
that.
your soul to do your art.
But that's once again, that's
No.
people imposing that. You have to be strong enough within yourself to write your own freaking story. Because honestly,
Do you know, I think that the people that died of that is because they couldn't handle, because, you know, being treated like you're a god
yeah.
is very hard to handle as a human.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of these artists are shy.
Yeah.
A lot of these artists they have their own struggles. So where do you escape? They don't trust people around
Yeah.
them. You know, the times have changed.
Yeah.
You know, back then it was like you were really like the artists that now we revere. Like I mentioned Jimi Hendrix. You know, now they're icons.
Yeah.
But they paid their fucking dues to get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But these are people that showed who they were.
Yeah, but why are the dues that we need to pay in order to show our excellence need to be part of our soul?
It's not like that anymore. But there's a flip side now. The artists don't do that anymore. But now I don't find we have icons anymore.
But do you feel like, okay, let's look at I don't want to say Miley Cyrus because I might get eaten alive.
Lord, please
But,
do
you know,
not put
there's-
Miley Cyrus
There's a
in
lot
that
of
category.
people that are at the top of, forget, you know what their talent is. They're at the top of their game. They're getting all the
She has no
rewards,
talent.
quote unquote, that everyone is going for to get like the big golden carrot in the sky.
Yeah.
And there's a few, I don't know, maybe there's a few of them that are doing that and able to keep their lives somewhat intact. I don't know. I can't think of anyone right now. I'm sure I would if I had a bit of time. But it's like they have to go through so much. It's like we build
Can I
people
ask you
up.
something? Do you
But
know
can
an
I
artist
ask- can I-
though
can I-
that's not has a bit of a tortured soul?
Well, let me just finish my thought.
They build people up.
We build people up as like a public. It's like we build people up only so that we can tear them down.
Yes,
Yes,
that
that
is
I
the
agree
design.
with.
That is
No,
the
no,
design.
that's an absolute design. But going back to what you were saying,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say something. It's a tragedy that these people died of overdoses and whatnot.
Right.
But you know what? From authors to poets to painters to singers back in the day, but even now, like, we have different means now. But even in my own circle, any artist I know has a bit of a tortured soul.
Every artist has.
I don't know an artist that, and I mean a true artist, that doesn't have that, that bit of, a bit of that tortured
but you
soul.
have to have
I think it's a
edge,
sensibility. I think the way I see it, I feel
Yeah.
like it's more being sensitive to who you are
Yeah.
and what you are.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
I was
totally
supposed to say.
disagree. I've always rejected that, the notion that you have to be bare bones there, and like
whipped
in
every
pain
single
and
day at a
misery.
firing squad.
I agree.
You know what I
don't wanna
mean?
live
In order
like
to
that.
make some music.
Exactly, or whatever you're making, any type of art that you're making. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me, and I don't think it's the way to go. Like I don't think it's the only way to go, and that I think that's the only way that we've been told to go.
Yeah.
You know
Maybe
what I
these
mean?
people are paving the way for someone who's finally going to say, like, okay, I see you guys have all suffered this, but, like, I have a new edge to go for. And it's not about needing to be bulimic or anorexic or drug addict or sex addict, but what is the new edge? What is the new edge for a person to create truly from their soul and still be received by everyone? Because once you have the collective really accepting your message, there is going to be a backlash going on somewhere. But beyond this, like, limited scope of where we're, like, showing ourselves in thongs and you can lick my ass and my anus. I keep going back to that, like, Nikki.
But that's what's going
lady.
on.
But
And
it's
not only Nikki, it's all of
It's
them.
all of them.
I told you how this
Miss
guy announced the...
Minaj.
I just think that
Everybody.
ultimately you have
lady.
you have to know the industry you're getting into.
Yes.
You have to know
the
it.
beast.
And you have
Know
to
the
know,
beast.
and you have to know exactly. Know the
But the
beast.
who's the beast?
Well, wait.
The
The beast
industry.
that is the industry, but the beast that is within yourself. So that
And the beast that is us.
the beast that is us.
The-
Exactly.
those
the
who are
public.
judging.
Exactly. So
But my dad always used to say you have to get into the belly of the beast to fight the beast.
that's it.
You know, and there's
Have to
something
know it.
about it. You have to know the beast.
Yeah.
So educate yourself on it, and don't go in blindly.
Yeah.
It's true.
Don't go in blindly. It's there. Know what you're watching. Know what you're listening to, but also know where you stand.
Yeah.
Don't
And
get
also-
yourself get carried away.
The beauty I think of the time that we live in is that there's this notion of you can listen to whatever you want to listen to.
Yeah.
In the sense
There's
that
the freedom.
yes, exactly. I mean, the media is everywhere, all around us, and I mean, it seeps
You have to
through
know how
our
to discern it.
subconscious.
Discern it, right?
Yeah.
Discernment.
But in the
Yeah.
sense that, like, if you don't want to listen to songs that demean women or whatever, you don't want to look at porn, you don't want to, whatever it is, whatever your gig is, you can bypass that. You
You
can
have
be
a
like,
choice.
not my thing. You
You
can
have a
do that.
choice.
You can
Yeah.
really do that.
But you have to
actually
deal with the
have that.
consequences of that also. Like
Don't be a
That's
hypocrite and talk about you don't agree with this and this, and then you're gonna support it by giving it airtime. That's my take.
I done bought a few Ludacris songs on my iTunes account.
Ludacris is the
I
shit.
love Luda.
Luda
but-
is great.
Luda, you can say what you got to say.
So
I'm
I
gonna
think,
forgive
yeah.
you.
I think that's
But
yeah.
we're not. We should be listened to.
Yeah,
We should be
listen
listened
to
to.
us. I'll say, not saying. I think like
Follow
really-
us.
Yeah, follow us. Are we gonna go there?
Love
Yes.
us, love
On Twitter
us.
at Talking
Talking
About
About
It. On Instagram at Talk Post.
Post. Yeah.
Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/LTAI
Podcast.
and make sure to tune in next week for the next episode of Let's